So we would like to recognize two Community Award recipients tonight. These are both DCR, longtime DCR leaders that have been with the DCR for decades, and they've been great partners and great leaders in promoting and protecting the Blue Hills. The first one is someone I've known for a number of years, Karl Pastore. And Karl is retiring, or he's retired last Friday after 34 years with the state park system. Karl has worked in a number of different jobs, different roles. He was with the Quincy Quarries Historic Park. He was a supervisor there. He was the Boston region and the North region director. And for the last 8 years, we've been lucky to have him as the Southeast regional director, which is where the Blue Hills falls into. Karl has always been a hiker. He's hiked parts of the Appalachian Trail. He's hiked parts of the White Mountains. I have personally run into him a number of times when we're in the Blue Hills. He lives in Milton, so I see him on the streets, and Karl is the type of guy that stops whatever he's doing and will chat with you about the Blue Hills. So Karl, thank you for your enthusiastic leadership through the years.
David, I thank you. It's haven't seen you for a while in the hills, but I hope to see you soon. It is an honor to be recognized by you guys. We've worked together for years. Friends of the Blue Hills, probably, I don't know when I was working in the quarries. That was probably 20 years ago. So been associated with you guys for a long time. And I got to say, I just retired after 34 years with state parks and Department of Conservation and Recreation. And boy, I feel blessed to have such a great opportunity to manage and help manage these parks, working with our partners in the legislature and everyone else. It is just, it's been a great ride. And over those 34 years, I got to say that I've dealt with lots and lots of friends groups. And, you know, you guys are right up there. You clearly, I'm not just saying it, you clearly are the cream of the crop here. You're the top, one of the top groups as far as volunteer work, as far as, you know, trail work, working with our team, invasives, working with Judy, working with all you guys has been really a pleasure. Even though we can be, or the past tense, the agency when I was there could have been a pain in the neck sometimes. I think we all work together really well, and we can't do it without you. So thank you very much. And I'm glad you're recognizing Mr. Comeau. Mr. Comeau, boy, talk about the Blue Hills and his insights into the Blue Hills in some of the property acquisitions and protection that he's done. So thanks again. I'm really excited. And Judy, I probably will get involved a little bit. Don't push me, Judy, but I'll probably get involved with you guys sometime soon. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Karl. And two other interesting things I forgot to mention about Karl. One, if you've been to Elliott Tower lately, you notice that they went through a significant restoration project. That was spearheaded by Karl. The work that they did at Elliott Tower would not have happened without Karl. And I think anybody who stepped foot in the Blue Hills in their life has been to Elliott Tower. The second thing is, if you've ever bid on any of our auction items, you'll notice there's always been a beautiful Adirondack chair. Karl makes it every year and donates it to our auction item list to raise money for the Blue Hills. So again, Karl, I can't wait to see you in the Blue Hills running the trails. All right, Karl mentioned Jim Camau. So Jim grew up in the metropolitan Boston area, and Jim and I were talking. He said he can remember as a kid in the Boy Scouts grilling hot dogs in some of the metropolitan Boston area parks, the MDC parks. When Jim was in college, he left his home in Lynn after his freshman year and moved to Maine to work for a logging company deep in the woods of East Maine. He eventually came back, but that sort of talks about the rest of his life, which was focused on conservation and being in the woods. When Karl came back and finished college, he went to work for the park system. And one of his first jobs, after a couple of years, he had the opportunity of a lifetime to go work for a group called the Historic Sites Division, which was a small workforce created to bring, I guess, a more sensitive or resource-based management system to signature properties around the metropolitan park system. Through the years, he's worked at the Boston Harbor Islands, the Blue Hills, a place in Saugus. He was also a regional supervisor in 3 different regions within the MDC park system. And then in January 1994, he went to work for a group, a Commonwealth's land acquisition team. And as he says, the rest is history, and he's been there ever since. So he's retiring after almost 40 years of being with the state's different conservation groups, conservation agencies. And the goal or the mission of this Commonwealth land acquisition is to buy property, open space property, and give it back to different parks that it borders to protect it. And he was telling me that from 92 to 96, the state, and Bill Weld, if you remember, was the governor back then, and Bill Weld was really focused on open space protection. They bought a number of properties bordering the Blue Hills, including the Quincy Quarries and a number of properties on the northern side on the Milton border by Camp Sayre. And that's really how we got the Blue Hills today. Jim attended one of our virtual board meetings a couple of months ago, and he showed a map of, during, I guess, a 6 or 7 year period, the growth of the Blue Hills, year by year and acquisition by acquisition. And Jim recalled significant and detailed facts without looking at notes about every single property that was acquired by the state. It's so hard to think about the state being able to buy anything in today's environment. You know, the first thing to get cut are these environmental type programs when states cut budgets. So it's happy that he was able to do it when he could. And then he's someone else we call when we need to know how to politically navigate the DCR. He seems to know all the tricks. So I asked him finally, what is he going to do in retirement? And he said he's going to work to coordinate advocacy for the parks in Massachusetts. So his mission continues. So Jim, we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude for your years. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Give me a thumbs up, Dave, if you can hear me.
Yep, we can hear you.
Great. And I, I followed Karl around the Metropolitan Park System since the 80s. When he was at Belmarsh, I was at Breakheart, and we both came to the Blue Hills, went to the Harbor Islands, and always found ourselves coming back to the Blue Hills. At 3 different times in my career, I was in a supervisory role at the Blue Hills, most recently 2005. I love the resource. It really is iconic in the Commonwealth. With the land acquisition team, I find myself helping protect land across the Commonwealth. And I can tell you, I visited many of the parks, and few, if any, are equal to what the Blue Hills is. I think it stands out nationally as a significant chunk of open space so near so many people. Hats off to the staff that are killing themselves, keeping it clean and safe, and hats off to all the Friends of the Blue Hills members that volunteer. You're the real heroes here.
Great.
Yeah, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Jim. Really appreciate it.